say communication has come a very long way.
Yeah, it has, Rob. Look, it's the digital age, and we've with that brings a whole plethora of opportunities for, particularly on the farm, for farmers to communicate, whether it be with radios, with the cell phones, from the cell phone to the radio, internet connecting. It's just incredible what we can offer now.
It's almost science fiction for a lot of people.
Yeah, it is. Look, you know, you look at your kids and what they're playing with today, and what we played with as kids. It's a totally new world, and the same applies with technology. It's in a constant state of evolution, and we're seeing this every day from Motorola. This opportunities to talk to people, no matter where you are in New Zealand or around the world, through your radios or through your cell phones or both, through your laptops and so on. It's just fantastic.
So how do you marry a cell phone where you're in Queenstown and your farm's in Northland and you've got radios on the Northland farm? How can you do that?
Well, nowadays it's actually very easy. As I said before, the radios now have their own IP addresses. So effectively what we can do now is connect that radio through the World Wide Web, through the internet, to a smartphone. So if you're in Northland or Gold Coast or London, in England watching the rugby, you can still maintain contact to your worker or your manager or your wife or whatever, the husband, whatever the case may be, from the cell phone to that radio. So you might have a moment of inspiration. You think, gee, I think we should move that irrigation to paddock number 4. You can do that from your smartphone to your farm manager in Rakaia or Timaru or Invercargill, and he can talk back to you.
So the manager, whether it be he or she, can contact you on their radio and get you on your cell phone.
That's exactly right. Yeah. So so now you're not constricted by the old standard, I suppose, where radios were just connecting via either a repeater or on a simplex, where the radios were talking from radio to radio. Now the radios have been opened up globally, so it doesn't matter where you are, what you're doing. You can talk back to the farm or your construction site, mining operation. Doesn't really matter at all, from your cell phone to that radio, to that man you want to talk to. And I think a lot of the frustration has been with cellular has been, you know, when you're wanting an answer, you don't want to get that high. You've reached Rob. I can't come to the phone right now. I'm talking on the TV. You want to be able to. Get that answer. Yeah. Speaking of which,
well, you are exactly. I mean, that's proof in the pudding, isn't it?
Correct. So I've got a program on my smartphone that was actually that going off where I'm connected to a whole radio network, so I can talk to the radios, to our technicians, and with a click of a button, and they're in the field. I'm actually conversing with them. I'm discussing what needs to be done, and it works really well.
So you hear stories about the cell phone coverage here is rubbish, but are you able to get around that?
Oh, absolutely.
What do you do? Do you put transponders on there? Or
no, no. The great thing is, you know, we've got we've got a number of locations in Canterbury, up in the back countries. You know, you're thinking about the Hakateri here in sort of areas, the Algidus, where, you know, the Coleridges and those sort of areas. So those areas were always traditionally restrained by, for communications and in cellular, by the fact they didn't have repeaters, or they had to rely on just radio to radio. So now what we do is we connect the farmer, the farm workers, through the internet with a simple program. Mm-hmm. And so if you leave if the farmer wants to leave the property and go to town, go and visit farmlands, he can now talk back to that farm via the internet. So the radios are talking to the internet and then out to the smartphones.
So this is sort of satellites and stuff, isn't it?
Well, it's actually World Wide Web. So if you think about it, it's kind of like Skype for a radio. So the radios now are now connecting to that software that you download for free, and of course there are infrastructure costs, but now you can actually talk to that radio. And like I say, you could be in UK watching the rugby. You can still be talking back to your farm manager or farm workers.
But you need one of those phones with a big screen on the front. You can't use your traditional ones?
Yeah, you can use any smartphone will work. And the radio, you mean the radio? The radio, all the new Motorola radios have the ability now to connect through the internet, so it's fantastic.
Do you sort of get a 5-day educational thing with this?
Well, you know,
because it's all above my head, mate.
Well, look, you know, Rob, it's as simple as downloading the app from the App Store,
and you guys will do that for you.
We can do all of that. It's very simple. Look, you know, there is some infrastructural costs involved. It's not as scary as people think, and it's so simple to use. Look, it's as simple as opening the app, just like you'd open up iTunes, hit the app, and it effectively turns into a two-way radio. And you hit the wee button and go, "Hey, Rob, how are you doing?" And that's it. Job done. It's very simple.
What if his name's Steve?
Well, that's a problem. Don't know any Steves out there.
But you know a few Robs. To the password is how
I just
you
like
know,
using your
Rob.
name. It's so easy. It comes straight off the tongue. But no, seriously.
I mean, what I'm driving at is that there's people who are further on in years
Sure.
who will look at that and go, I don't even know what an app is, and I use my cell phone to make phone calls.
Yep.
Not to check the weather forecast, which you can do, of course.
Absolutely, you can do anything you like, and look, we can do all of that for you. We'll install it. You know, the go-to solution for a lot of people is to have a repeater on the farm. If it's a big property and it's out in the back blocks, sure, a repeater still has its place, and we do that very, very well. And it doesn't matter whether it's Mesopotamia or Mount Algidus or Molesworth. It doesn't matter. We can do all of that. But now, what I'm saying now, you can actually utilise the power of the internet to unbridle yourself from that being just on the farm radio, to now be able to be mobile. And if you do go off the farm, or you're on holiday, you can still maintain that contact.
It's got to be great day for the corporates who are sitting in an office in Auckland or Hamilton or wherever, and the farm manager can go to the chairman and say, look, I want to do this, that, or the other thing.
I want to go and visit Drummond and Etheridge and buy a new tractor. Absolutely. So you can actually become a conference facility for you, conference call facility. We have guys who have multiple farm assets, and they want to talk to their farm managers all at once. They might want to have a toolbox meeting over the radio or over the phone. So you can do all of that, and you can have your own little channels.
A little conference call.
Of course, you can have a conference call, and you can also, if you want to, you can bring people in. So you might have a farm manager and your milking manager. You think, I want to bring John in to this call because it's important. So you can bring them in to the conversation on the radio to the smartphone. There's all sorts of opportunities there.
Winemakers and vineyard managers.
Absolutely.
There's so many sort of combinations where you do want to have those people in the same room.
Yeah, look, and going back to that old chestnut, we keep talking about health and safety. You know, knowing where you guys are at all times, and it's become more and more important, more relevant, and you know, there's no excuse these days to not give your guys good communications. It's so important.
Or if you're on the farm on your own and your spouse is working in the city, that's pretty handy too.
Yeah, well, look, we've had that a number of times, and saving yourself a few rucks on the road when getting that phone call from the wife. Did you go to the supermarket and pick me up that wine?
You didn't say milk, interestingly enough.
I only got the beer. But you know, there's a time saving factor, there's a money saving factor, and there's a safety factor. So, look, you know, it's the simplest thing in the world to do. And I think, you know, it's, look, for the sake of a phone call to me, I'll come out and I can give you all of those options on the property, and it's not as scary as people think. You know.
And it's not the future, it's the current, it's the present.
Look, you know, that's right. You know, we're future-proofing your farm, we're future-proofing your asset and your business. So we're putting a 10-year plus program onto the farm that'll carry you through to the 2025, 2030 at least.
Dave, thank you very much
You're
indeed.
welcome.